Hello, welcome to Beyond the Boundary. This is round 23, news and views. We've got one round to go for the year. We've got plenty to get through as usual. I've got Nick to my right, as always. How are you, Nick?
It's going quick, Josh. I'm great.
And Renee on my left, how are you, buddy?
It has gone very quick, Josh. I think but it's been an exciting week. I think exciting in the sense that this is the one week where the footy world hasn't really had any surprises. All the wins on the weekend were the favourites.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It was a fantastic round of footy. Let's take a look at the ladder.
Sydney still on top on 68 points there. We've got Hawthorn moving back into second position on 64. They've got the superior percentage to Geelong, also on 64. Fremantle rounds up the top four on 60 points. They're on 134%, and they play Port Adelaide this week in fifth, who are on 132%. 131% free or on. So Port Adelaide actually have the superior percentage. They just need to win, and they'll move up in fourth spot there.
It's a massive game. I mean, make sure you tune into Beyond the Boundary there.
Preview that game, yeah.
Preview that game. We're going to run through it extensively there. So
North Melbourne hang on to sixth spot with their win over Adelaide.
Secured a home final.
And then it starts to get interesting, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
North Melbourne struggled at stages, so they'll be really happy to secure that home final there. Moving into the next group of six there, Essendon in seventh on 48 points. You'd say they've almost secured the final there, but there is a chance they could drop out.
Yeah, Richmond and Collingwood need to both win for the bomb, and Essendon to lose to drop out. So, highly unlikely, but still possible.
We will focus on this a little bit more later. Richmond on 44, Collingwood in 9th on 44, West Coast in 10th on 40, Adelaide in 11th, also on 40, Gold Coast in 12th, also on 40. That huge group of teams. Gold Coast still with a sneaky chance that they could do it. Need to win by a lot over the Eagles.
Minimal chance, but
still doable. Yep, and just a quick look at the bottom six there. Carlton in 13th, Western Bulldogs in 14th, Brisbane in 15th, GWS in 16th, and then Melbourne and St Kilda
round out the competition.
You'd think St Kilda would be the wooden spoon from here.
You'd think so, yeah.
Yep. Moving on to a quick look at the Coleman medal. Lance Franklin's got it 1, boys. I tipped him for the Coleman medal. I'm pretty pleased with myself.
Wobble.
67 goals. He's kicked 15 in the last 2 weeks, which is crazy. And then Roughhead, Schultz, Hawkins, Jack Rewalt and Kennedy rounds out the 6 there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Franklin's just gone bang, 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 bang and run away with it by 9 goals at the moment.
I think what needs to be said though is it's been a good year for key forwards.
Yeah.
We're seeing the key forwards, the number one forward from many different sides, all up in that Coleman race. I mean, you mentioned you have Schultz from Port Adelaide, Franklin from Sydney.
I think a couple of years ago, Rewalt won it with 62, and now with 1 week to go, we've got Franklin on 67.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned Jack Rewalt from Richmond, Tom Hawkins, Geelong, Josh Kennedy from West Coast. So all the number one forwards are delivering the goods.
Yep, it's good to see.
Yep.
Now, first topic of the week is one that everybody's been talking about this weekend. It's the goal review system. On the weekend, the main one that everyone talked about, it was proved to be the right call in the end. Sam Mitchell's had a shot from about 45 metres out, I believe it was. It was a low shot, bit of a bullet shot at the goals. Hamish McIntosh has had this last-ditch attempt to get 2 hands to the ball, which he has, and he's knocked that onto the post. The goal umpire's decision is that it's hit the post, so that McIntosh has, hit it straight into the post before the line. The whole crowd behind his Hawthorn supporters, they think it's a goal. The goal review, which 7 has shows it's crossed the line, and the review conclusion was that it was conclusive of behind. And then Mark Evans, I believe it is, has come out today and roasted Channel 7 for that, roasted the commentators and the people who choose the vision to put on screen, saying they've used the wrong camera angle here. And he's used an example showing the camera angle that the reviewer actually uses, which clearly shows that it's touched before the line. I think the goal review system has been unfairly judged in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a big fan of it, to be honest, because, the goal umpires are there to do a job.
Yep.
And I feel like they're relying too heavily on the goal review system. I just think the simple thing is to get rid of it. I just don't think... If you got superior technology at one ground, you have to have it at each and every other ground as well.
Yep,
you can't just have the cameras in the post at the MCG and Etihad Stadium and not have them around the competition.
I think there are very few sports that have got the review system correct. I think a lot of sports have attempted it, and few have actually managed to hit the nail on the head. I'm thinking of maybe tennis. That's a pretty simplistic review. Really, all it is whether the ball is crossed the line.
Even in this short period that we have to look at it, I think soccer or football with the round ball has got it perfect. They've got a watch on the umpire's wrist. If the ball crosses the line, that'll buzz, it's a goal. If it doesn't buzz, he doesn't call the goal. There's a lot of contentious decisions, hit the crossbar or bounce down to the line and then bounce out. there's a pretty simple system. There's a camera on the post. If that ball, all the ball crosses the line, it's a goal.
I think the only thing there is that in soccer it doesn't matter whether someone has touched it and it's gone through or not.
Yeah.
Whereas in footy, even if the ball goes over, the umpire's watch might buzz, but that could be the result of an opposition player punching it through.
Yeah.
So the reviews not only prove problematic in the ball actually going over the line, but whether that ball was touched. And numerous times you've seen them zooming in on the player's fingers to see if they've moved back or anything like that.
Well, I think touched off the boot. We saw one on Friday night where they zoomed into the player's fingers, and they actually got that one right. You could clearly see that his middle fingers moved back. I'd like to see you do that while you're trying to spoil the ball and purposely move your finger back.
Well, I just think that with any technology review system, instead of, I think if you're going to use it, it needs to be spot on perfect.
Yep.
Otherwise, just go with the judgment of the umpire who's trained, who's experienced in doing what he or she does.
But having said that, the fact that they've brought it in at all
Yep.
means that they plan, this is their plan for the
Of
future.
course,
They want to
yeah.
use this technology.
Yep.
You've got to trial it somehow. It's
Yes.
not something you can just kind of stick on a VFL goalpost and see how it goes,
Correct.
because there's not enough people watching it to see how it goes. So I don't mind, as long as they're not incorrectly overruling decisions, like that one that bounced and they thought that hit the post. That was incorrectly overruled. As long as they're not doing that, I don't have any problem with it. If it wastes 10 seconds in a game, I don't mind that. For a 2 or 3 year trial period, for the next 20 years for the good of the game, if they can get it right in that 2 or 3 year period where they're just trying to make it work, I don't mind that. And I think the touched on the line decisions is the one where this really works perfectly. Because that's the hardest thing. You can't tell if that's touched on the line unless you go through vision frame by frame. The goal umpire's naked eye can't decide that just seeing it the first time. And I think this decision, the correct angle that the reviewer actually used, not the one that Channel 7 used and that BT said was absolutely ridiculous that they could make that call. I think that was the perfect view. You could clearly see, the ball had barely even gone over the line at all when he got two hands on it from that view, whereas Channel 7 uses the fisheye view, which distorts it, and it looks like the ball's already crossed the line. So I think it worked fine in that situation.
Well, he's certainly got a lot to say about it, doesn't he, Josh?
He certainly does. Well, my short and sweet story is, because we got to move on, is that I just think the umpires got to back themselves in, to be honest. I mean, they've done it for a number of years before technology came in.
Yep.
They're human. They're bound to make mistakes. And even with the goal line technology, we're still making mistakes.
Correct.
So I just say leave it to the umpires and let them make their decision.
The traditional route.
But just to finish on, I think if there's an incident in this year's grand final or next year's grand final, like we saw Tom Hawkins' goal hitting the post, that's the kind of blatant decision that the umpire gets wrong that you could see overturned that could really make a difference.
That's the unpredictability of the game, though. That's the way it's been for a long, long time.
Anyway, moving on. A lot to talk about in that. We'll see how it goes in future weeks, future years. James Hird, Josh, he returns to the club today, being Monday.
Yep.
What are your general thoughts on that?
I mean, he's served his suspension, and I mean, there's still plenty to play out with the Asada case in the courts. So there's due to be a decision probably in about December, they think. So who knows what's going to happen in between then? But he arrived at the club today and said that he wants to keep Bomber Thompson at the club. Personally, I'd love to keep Bomber at the club as well.
So the general consensus is that Bomber won't be at Essendon next season.
My feel is that he won't.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be there, but hope I'm wrong. I mean, for the first time last week, he said he wants to be there, but he doesn't feel like there's a role there for him next year. Okay. So hopefully they can find him one. But I mean, Hird served his suspension. He stuffed up majorly. He's got a lot of respect to earn back from basically everyone in the footballing world. That may take years. It may take
Essendon supporters and opposition supporters alike.
Yeah, it may take a long time.
Yep.
But it's good to have him back because he is a very good coach. He got us into the finals twice, I believe.
Yep.
Well, once.
But twice.
We got taken out. So
I think the Bomber Thompson part of the situation is the most interesting in that he had a pretty set out role, similar to Rodney Eade at Collingwood.
Yeah.
Is it the director of coaching?
Yeah.
Or something similar. And then he's come in as the best candidate for the standing coach when Hird's served his 1 year suspension. I don't understand what's changed. Why he can't continue in that previous role he had?
Because we've got someone else in to take over as well. I think it was Neil Craig has taken over what he was doing.
It's just a pity to see Bomber Thompson sort of take a lot of the heat in this situation.
I think if Bomber says that he wants to stay, Essendon have to do everything they can to keep him because
he's an excellent coach.
He's an excellent coach. He's a valuable person around the football club. You just cannot afford to lose him.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I think Hurd, like you said, he served a suspension. He went away to Europe, I believe, and went to a business school in France, and took his mind off the issue. Obviously, just wanted to get away from it, and he's come back now. I think he seems extremely enthusiastic, jubilant. As soon as he came back, he was welcoming the media almost. But when he was leaving, he was going go get off my front lawn, and this time he was actually going up to the media, wanting to talk to them. So I think he's been itching to get back to it for quite a while, and I definitely don't think Essendon will deny him that opportunity. I know there are some Essendon fans out there that want Bomber Thompson to stay on as coach.
If I had the choice, I'd be choosing Bomber.
Okay, but I think the Essendon Football Club aren't in a position to do something like that at the moment to do that. So I think Hurd will be he's also a good coach. We're not talking a coach that won you the wooden spoon and a coach that's getting the finals. They're both similar, success rate. So. But I totally agree with the opinion that Bomber must be kept at the club if he wants to stay. That is.
Caroline Wilson would be kicking herself right now. She has waxed James Hurd from pillar to post for the last 18 months, and then the very week that he returns to the club, she goes out and gets herself caught drink driving.
Rumoured too.
She's
hasn't been confirmed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's in no position to. If it's true, she's in no
if
position.
If it's true,
she should be getting the sack.
She's in no position to be slagging off on James Hurd.
If it's true.
Anyway, moving on. Yep. Our next main topic for the week is the race for 8th spot, and this is
probably the biggest topic.
This is probably the biggest talking point at the moment.
We'll try not to spend too long on it.
We won't.
Just as a general quick look at it, from most likely to least likely, the teams in our view that we think will finish in 8th. You've got West Coast, obviously. Pretty much they just need to beat.
Well, let me give you a rundown for each of the clubs. Basically, West Coast are in the most likely situation. They need to beat Gold Coast. And they need Collingwood to lose to Hawthorn and for Sydney to beat Richmond.
Yeah.
And obviously, even still, the percentage battle with the Crows will go on.
But those are all the most likely situations.
Correct.
If you go and tip the favourite in those games,
To give you a basic idea, if West Coast win by, let's say, 2 goals, then that would mean Adelaide needs to win by about 90 points.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is Adelaide play immediately after West Coast. So
They'll
when they run
go
out
into
to play,
that game,
they will know exactly how much they need to...
I think St Kilda had the same situation with Essendon a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
They needed to win by 100 and they won by 105 or something.
Yeah.
So let's not hope for deja vu there, but...
Well, the thing is, they're going to be playing at the same time. West Coast is going to be in their second half of their game against the Gold Coast when Adelaide's games again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because West Coast and Gold Coast start at 1:10.
All right.
And Adelaide and St Kilda start at 3:20
Well, there you go.
Victorian time.
Correct. So that'll be a very interesting little...
Win by as much as possible for those two teams.
Both teams, I'm sure, are focusing just on winning at the moment, nothing else. If West Coast lose, that's it. They're done.
It's Adelaide's to lose.
Yep, it's Adelaide's to lose. So no chance at all for West Coast if they lose. But moving on.
Then you go down to Richmond, and they've had this Dare to Dream hashtag going on.
Oh boy!
And you
8
think
in a row.
I just keep thinking to myself every time when there's a team in bottom 4, and there's always that one supporter who goes, "Oh, it's still mathematically possible." And then you look at it, like they were in that position where their supporters would be,
That was me
saying
2
that,
months
yes.
ago.
We were saying, no, not just you. I was saying it too.
Yeah.
Like
we
they
were both
this-
saying he was
this
the one
one
who
he
said,
was
yeah.
They were equal points with bottom of the ladder, and it's even past the it's mathematically possible. There was no chance.
I think Richmond obviously their scenario is was similar to West Coast, but a bit trickier. They've got to beat Sydney. Interestingly, Richmond is the only one out of these clubs that's actually in the 8 right now.
Yeah.
So
if Richmond beats Sydney, they're in.
if Richmond beats Sydney, that's it. Doesn't matter what anyone does. West Coast could win by 300 points. Richmond will still
Wouldn't
make the
matter.
8.
Yep.
But it's interesting. If they lose, then things get a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
They've got to hope that first of all West Coast lose, Collingwood lose, and I think Adelaide as well, percentage wise. But the interesting thing about Richmond boys, I picked up on this. How many have they won?
8
in a row.
And what number game is coming up now?
9.
No,
Correct.
Bloody.
So it's that same number 9 that's getting them every single time, boys. And I hope
It's only
it gets them
happened
this time.
twice in the last 20 years. I don't understand.
But
this.
interestingly-
I understand it just quickly because so many Richmond fans bite back at it. That's why.
Okay.
There have been songs made about it,
Yeah.
Now,
but also
one-
just quickly,
Yep.
John Longmire has come out and said, to the dismay of Richmond fans, Sydney are not resting anyone.
Oh, yeah.
You can expect
Bollocks.
Parker, you can expect
You can expect a
Franklin,
late
they'll-
change. That's what you can expect.
Kennedy and McGlynn to come back in as well.
Yep, so enjoy that, Richmond fans. Moving on.
Even more interesting.
Yeah.
They said they won't rest anybody. but Hawthorn play Collingwood on the Friday night. If Collingwood can win that game, or Hawthorn doesn't win by enough to get their percentage up, Sydney can just cruise into that game knowing they've got top spots sewn up.
Well, I don't think that factored in John Longwell's decision.
I think that's a small opening for Richmond there.
You don't. Personally, I wouldn't be flirting with form.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither. You don't want to
Paid off for Fremantle last year, but doesn't mean it'll pay off for Sydney this year.
Moving on quickly to Collingwood, they've just got to win by as much as possible.
If Collingwood win, they make the final cut.
If they win?
Yes, I'm quite sure if they win, they make the final cut.
Even though They've got to win and hope Richmond loses.
They win and then, obviously.
Yeah, that's assuming Richmond loses.
I'll tell you right now, if Collingwood win, it would be the greatest win in their history.
It'll be up there.
I'd agree with that.
On this
because they're missing at the moment Beans, Swan, Cloak, Elliott, Reid, Young, McCaffer. And if Collingwood lose,
that's it. And speaking of that,
after 8 consecutive seasons of making the finals.
Yeah. Speaking of that's it and mathematically possible, Gold Coast would have to win by 100 points, and other results go their way.
They need to win by about 90 points against West Coast, and then they need Adelaide to not thrash St Kilda.
Collingwood to lose.
Collingwood to lose and Richmond to lose. So they're probably the further stretch at the moment.
And last topic of the week, just quickly, Q-Stick, Quinten Lynch has announced his retirement.
Yeah, absolutely. He played most of his career at the West Coast Eagles, just the 18 games at Collingwood.
Was a very valuable player at West Coast.
Yeah, not what you said off air, but
we had a bit of a disagreement about how many goals he got.
No, I didn't disagree. I think I underestimated how prolific he was at West Coast.
This guy said that he wasn't West Coast key forward in their premiership year. The guy
65 goals.
The guy only kicked 65 goals for the year.
Anyway,
I underestimated his prowess. I'll take that back.
But no, he's a premiership player and was quite good in his heyday, but came to Collingwood. Not sure that he had the impact that the Magpies would have liked him to have.
Yeah, injuries, bad form.
Yeah.
Other players overtaking him. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish his career on the note he would have
It's
liked.
always the Collingwood curse. Every second tall forward that goes there. Jesse White was excellent at Sydney. Can't do well there now. Quinten Lynch, same thing.
And they had bright starts too.
Yep.
Correct. Ben Reid even. Excellent start down forward, and now he's struggled. Well, regardless of whether it's injury or not, it just seems to be something
calling that one early, I think.
Yeah.
A curse.
He didn't come from another club anyway.
That's true, but still.
That brings us to the end of another episode of News and Views on Beyond the Boundary.
I'm sorry, Quinten Lynch. I know you watch this show fervently. And
one of our biggest fans, I'm sure.
You're one of my favourite players of all time.
Fervent?
Not really, but fervently, very passionately.
Anyway, you can...
English lesson with Mr. Lakshman here.
Quinten, you can follow Vinay on Twitter if you like to. I wouldn't recommend it.
He already does.
He doesn't tweet much.
Yep.
BTBFL at Gustin, at JRicard1901, and at VK Laksh.
Boys, got massive final shows coming up. 14 massive shows.
Go watch the promo. Even though we've just told you that we're doing final shows, watch the promo anyway because it is a very
more
good
information.
promo.
We've got the scheduling information. Some of the shows will be on a Monday, some will be on Tuesday. 1 episode preview for every final. News and views each week. If you look forward to that, great stuff.
Can't wait, boys.
And there's a link to the match previews episode this week at the end of the video.
Absolutely. All right, boys. Good luck to your Eagles, mate. I hope they get in.
Thank you.
You and I are basically already
It'd be nice to see us all in the finals.
It would add a bit more excitement to the table, wouldn't it?
It certainly would.
So we'll all be Eagles fans this weekend then, I think.
Oh, maybe not.
We will.
All right, boys. See you later.